I know it's happening.
What's happening?
Good evening, everyone. Sorry for the delay. We were having some technical difficulties here. I am with the Spry family this evening, which is going to be a wonderful little chat we're going to have here. They have absolutely nothing to say. Welcome to Coffee with Mildred. I'm Maria Erickson. This is my son, Kai. Say hi, Kai.
Well,
he's the producer and helper on this, so I can focus on the conversation. Coffee with Mildred. Why I started Coffee with Mildred is that I wanted to be able to bring all those times as a kid you got dragged to coffee and listen to old stories and whatnot. And when you became like 20, 30 years old, you wished you'd remembered a lot more of it or had recorded it. I'm doing it right now. And want to do it in a way that I can share with you. So please also interact. You can chat, ask questions if things come up or you want to know more information. We're happy to ask those questions. This week or this month is become a member in September for the Cook County Historical Society. Please, it's only $20 to get in at the very base rate annually. $20 for the year. Really helps out our organization in being able to provide this programming and maintain our sites. Also, for this programming, subscribe to the channel. There are bonus interviews that I do. I do it every Tuesday night at 7, but there are some extra bonus interviews that pop up every once in a while due to timing. It can't happen exactly at that time. So it's a great way to stay connected with us and what we have going on. So without further ado, we're going to go around and introduce you to the Spry family here. Kai, are we doing good on sound? Okay. Yeah, he's really paying attention. All right, hold on here. Let's see how this looks. So we have quite the clan here. We'll start with you. You want to introduce yourself?
I'm Jim Spry.
And now, how many Spry kids are there?
6.
6. And in that range of 6, you are number
1.
You're number 1.
He's the old guy.
Well, congratulations. All right. And next to you.
I'm Lyle. I'm number 6. and they did save the best for last.
All right.
I'm Bob, second oldest.
Okay. And then we have
Pete Ryden. I'm married to Phyllis Spry.
Okay.
And I'm Phyllis Ryden Spry, and I'm next to Lyle on the bottom of the barrel.
Bottom of the barrel.
I do want to say too that we did have another brother that was born between Lyle and I that died of spinal bifida when he was like 3 weeks old. So I would have had another brother. I would have had 6 brothers instead of 5. So
God bless you for having the 5.
After that.
I might have quit after that.
I might not have been here.
In the background, in the peanut gallery, we have Millie Spry. She's Bob's wife. She'll be, throwing comments in from back there.
Chuckling.
Or chuckling and laughing.
Yeah, well, that's probably more true than not.
So, how did your family come to be in Cook County? Who wants to tell that story? Can you come in? Why not?
Start it off, Phyllis.
Okay, I listened to a recording that my dad had made with Nancy Linke probably 30 some years ago, right the year before he died, and got some information out of that. It was an old cassette. I didn't know if I could find something to play it on, but I did. But anyhow, Dad came here in the CC days back in 1931. He had been working at the CC camp in Net Lake, I think, and playing ball there, and then
Baseball.
Played
baseball there.
Baseball.
Yeah, baseball there. And his cousin came and took him from there and said, Graham Portage wants me to come up and play baseball with him for the CC camp, and I can't come unless I bring you. So they want you both, and Dad said he didn't hesitate a bit. That was he had gone back to working on a farm for $1 a day, he said, and that was hard work. So CC camp, they took care of you pretty good. So he came up then in 1931 to work at the CC camp and play ball for the Grand Portage baseball team.
And he was in the camp up by Mineral Center, just.
Mineral Center, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, he talked about that in that thing that in the camp up there, they had many buildings. They had the baseball field was right there at the camp. And they had another building that was for basketball and all that kind of stuff. They had a chow place where they went to eat. And then they had, of course, bunks and stuff like that. So they took care of them really well and fed them really well, he said. So he was happy to be working there, so.
And at this point, was he married?
No. He later met my mother, Jeanette LeClaire. She was from Two Harbors, but had been going to college, and then I think
It was
during the Depression,
Depression.
yeah, and ended up not being able to finish school. So she came to Grand Marais. I'm not sure exactly when she came, and she worked at Mabel's Cafe, which was a pretty brand new.
Tell what college it was.
Oh, College of Saint
In
Scholastica
Duluth, yeah.
in Duluth, yes.
Okay.
So that's the older one. So maybe
That's, yeah,
Wow.
and that was the only girls' school then at that point.
Mhm.
So,
And did you have a picture that we think is Mabel's Cafe?
yeah, we think this might be Mabel's Cafe. We're not sure. Did anybody out there recognize that?
That's good.
Okay.
Well, you're covering Pete.
They met at dances in Grand Marais, Dad said. They
There was a lot more dancing
Yeah, a
going
lot more
on way
dancing
back then.
yeah.
There was.
And
Yeah.
he did marry her before he got out of the CC camp in Grand Portage, before it quit. He worked there till it quit then, whatever year that was, I don't know.
But how did the baseball team do?
The baseball team did good. He was the captain and they won the championship that one year. And there is a trophy in the Historical Society. Well, there's a picture in the book in the historical in Grand Marais, and also the trophy is up at Grand Portage in their historical thing of my dad holding the trophy with the whole team when they won that year. So
Who knew you could be recruited baseball to move
Yeah.
to Grand Marais or Grand Portage? And,
He was a pretty good golf player.
yeah,
Little guy, but he was good.
yeah.
uh,
So what year did they get married?
we got married and what the heck was it?
38.
38, yes.
38, yes.
But
You were-
the CC didn't run till the 38 one, did it? He
They
said
were married in 38, yeah.
yeah, he said he worked on the WPA for a while after the
Oh, that could be. But
CCC closed down, so I don't
Yeah.
know what he was doing.
What's the WPA?
It was a federal
Work program.
work program.
Okay.
They did, you know that bridge yet where they replaced the sides on that? When you leave in town?
Yeah.
A few years back, I think those bricks that were originally there were WPA bricks.
So, yeah, same with Cascade, I think that's.
Same with Cascade and
River,
stuff.
Wasn't it a program
Temperance River, we had a lot of.
during the Depression?
Yes, it was.
Equal chances to work for people?
Right.
It was a federal government program.
Okay.
You should look that up.
WPA.
I'll
what
get
is
right
it?
on that.
Dad said in the thing last night what they called it, but it wasn't what it really was. This was kind of a comical thing that it was like,
Well, what did they call it?
I don't remember what he said. I didn't write that down. I just wrote WPA.
Yeah, it stood for something different there.
Yeah.
So where was the C camp up in Portage then?
It was at Mineral Center.
At Mineral Center.
Well, south and east of Mineral Center, a little
About a
bit.
mile this way,
About a mile.
down towards 40.
Yeah, where
Okay.
they still have a spring there now that people get water from. Yeah.
That's where it was right there.
Helmer, was that
Okay.
Helmer Nelson's field
Was
or
it?
something
Yeah,
like
it
that?
was that, but if you go by now, it's all pine trees.
Yeah, it's all
The
grown up.
field is all grown up,
Mm-hmm.
overgrown pine trees because they're too tight together.
Yeah.
Anyway, Was there a spring there, Rose? I know there's a spring up on the other side.
No, they have a great
North
big
of-
tank or spring up there that people still go to this day
That's where I
and
get our water off, huh?
get their water.
Yeah.
There was a flowing well up there. by
Drinking
the-
water, we get our drinking water.
there
It's
was
got the best water there is.
There was a flowing well up by the maple syrup.
Maple syrup.
Yeah.
plant,
Yeah,
they do.
that was a.
But that one wasn't very good, they said.
Not
Oh,
really.
Drank all the water, drank it.
Oh, he did, yeah.
Yeah.
Drank it for years.
Yeah,
There was a maple syrup plant up there?
There was a maple
Maple
syrup.
syrup, yes.
We took a picture of that,
So she can get Jimmy and Lyle
island.
in there.
Keep going, keep going.
We'll see if I can. I
No,
don't know
fine.
that I can.
Oh,
Crunch it down.
That's all right, I don't wanna be in there anyway.
Come on, James.
Come on, James,
Try it
up.
over.
There we go.
I don't wanna be the only person in this thing.
can I say it's a wrap yet?
No. Oh, look at you all cozy now. So the maple syrup plant was up at Mineral Center?
Yeah, it was north of where the store was, about a mile.
That
mile and a
was,
quarter.
that was put up years later though,
Oh, okay.
not when they first come here.
So what was Mineral Center like when because your parents got married and lived in Mineral Center, right?
No.
Or no? Where'd they live?
Grand Portage.
Okay, down in Grand Portage.
Lucky Star Landing?
When I was a baby, my dad used to, which mountain is that on? Mount Sophie?
Sophie.
The one over Charlotte Lake,
Yeah,
Sophie.
yeah.
Mount Sophie, he run that one summer. Or he was the one that was going up in the tower and watching for fires and
Fires.
stuff.
Oh, okay.
So that's what, and we lived in a cabin right below that.
With the
One
scouts.
time they tell me that they couldn't find me. I was halfway up the thing, climbing up the thing.
Oh, gee.
Now you can't get me to go up them, I'm scared of heights.
Probably has something to do with them scaring the heck out of you when they
Maybe,
found you.
Yeah.
It was halfway up, it wasn't a straight up one, it was, you know, like a
Back-
step.
Oh, it's very pretty hot.
Yeah, but still, I
It's
mean,
still always up there.
Yeah.
yeah, it's not like it's enclosed either, you know?
No, it wasn't.
Oh,
I
geez.
remember Mom talking about that when you guys were living there, there was a family of skunks under the house too, yeah.
I don't remember that.
Mm,
Yeah, you were probably pretty
So-
little.
I don't remember going up there.
Did he just work on
the
that?
ladder either, but, cause I was probably 2-3 years
Jimmy,
old.
did he just work up there for a year?
Hmm?
Did he just work on the towers for a year or two?
I don't know. I know he was up there one year anyway. I don't
So
know if they born that.
I wonder when they moved to Lucky Star Landing?
It didn't say exactly in here, he just said that they moved to Lucky Star Landing.
No,
And what's-
that's,
no, what's Lucky Star Landing?
it's about a mile this side of Half Point.
Melby's
Where's
Marina,
Melby's Marina? Right there.
Okay.
right down in
Marina.
there.
We were on,
where the Voyager,
we were
where
just-
Voyager takes off from.
we were
Okay.
just east of where the marina is at now.
Okay.
I still remember coming home one time when we had a bunch of army worms around, and you open the door and the army worms would fall on your neck. You remember that,
Thank
Chip?
goodness,
That was
no.
at Lucky Star. I do. Lucky Star. Maybe I made it up.
No, I've seen a lot of them around. I don't
But
remember
anyhow,
them.
when they moved to Lucky Star Landing, Roy Oberg lived right down in that area too at that time, I think.
Yeah.
And he taught Dad, he's the one that taught Dad how to fish.
Okay.
So he started doing nets with Roy Oberg. He said they'd have like 29 nets out at a time, and they would have they call it a gang, I guess, when you do the nets.
Yeah.
And you have 3 nets to one gang, and they'd go out and pick, every third day they'd go out and pick 1 or 2 gangs, I guess, and so that they got them all within the 3 days anyhow. And sometimes if it was stormy, they'd sit out there longer, of course, then the fish wouldn't be as good. But so he worked with him, and that's how he learned to fish.
And so is that what he did then?
He became a commercial fisherman pretty much too most of his life. He worked construction whenever it came along, like the highways and stuff like that. I think he even went to Silver Bay at one point
Yeah,
and
he did.
Yeah.
That's
and
where
did
he smashed his
construction.
fingers.
Yeah.
He also drove, him and Elmer drove the snowplow in the winter, didn't they?
Yeah,
Remember that?
sometimes, yeah.
Yeah. So they're different jobs.
I actually remember him talking
They're
about being
really
a bus
fun.
driver and singing to the kids.
Must never too often.
So just different odd jobs, you know, cause you can't fish all
Right.
winter and stuff like that. And they used to have their own, well, that's when we moved later. I don't know. I was only one when they moved from Lucky Star Landing to where we lived after that,
Which was.
which was, about a mile from where the casino is now, or a half a mile.
Mile west.
Mile and a half.
Oh, what's-
So,
There's still a road down there, but it's pretty grown over.
Yeah.
It's like trees over something.
Right on the lake.
That, at that point,
There's a picture of that rock.
yeah, we do. It's in one of, where
Okay,
is
keep
it?
going.
In the numbers
Sorry.
book. At that point, anyhow, Uncle Elmer, his brother, came up and started fishing with him. And yes, we have a picture of Dad and Uncle Elmer together, who were,
Take it up, pass it up
you
sometime.
can see it there pretty good.
Mhm.
Okay. All right.
Now you're getting the light in it too much. There you go.
Yeah.
And which one, yeah, point out dad.
Okay, which one's dad?
The highest one up.
Really? That's your dad?
That's my dad, yeah.
Okay, and that's Uncle
Uncle Elmer.
Elmer.
Elmer wasn't that much shorter. I think he must have been standing down on something there. But
And this
they,
is much later in life.
yeah, that's
obviously.
much later in life, but they fished together. They both built houses down there. Dad was saying in this interview thing of Nancy Linky that, Ed Thorson had just gotten a new, what was it? Pete?
Bantam backhoe.
Banton backhoe, and he told Dad he'd give him a really good deal to build that road. So I think it cost him $300 to get that road built. Dad worked with him too, and it was about a mile
Yeah,
long.
3/4 of a mile.
Yeah.
Someplace like that.
Wow.
So and then Elmer built a house there, and Dad built a house there, and that's where we lived pretty much until no running water, no electricity.
Really?
Outhouse.
I bet you had a nice view out the outhouse.
You know what?
No?
Facing backwards.
Oh.
In those
Bunch of rooms.
days, they never built the houses to look at the lake. We had windows up over by the cabinets, huh? There was cabinets up on top, and then there was windows up there, so you couldn't really see the lake unless you were, you know, taller.
He could.
Yeah.
Why, do you know why they would do that?
Just, they weren't impressed by the lake at that time as far as, you
The
know, a
beauty
lakeshore
of it
view,
all.
the beauty of it all.
Right.
Cause Uncle Elmer's, I don't think they had any view of the lake when they built theirs.
Just built for convenience, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So actually, the bigger windows were looking up the road,
Yeah.
you know, which
Yeah.
didn't have any.
Not any great view going that way.
Yeah, and it wasn't until after I got married that they finally got running water.
And what year did you get married?
64. And I remember, we used to take, when we'd go to, school at Grand Portage, that's where you usually got your showers, so we didn't have the running water. We'd always have a bath before school started every year.
Every year?
Once a year? Whether they did it or not.
Well, I'm sure there was more than that a little bit, but
And
that's
they-
what I always remember, that we always,
And they didn't change the water.
No, right.
between it, right? So Jimmy got the good bath, and it was all downhill from there.
Yeah, for a while.
By the time he came along, they almost had running water by that time.
No,
you were what? Well, you were 11 or 12 when we got married, so before he had running water too.
12 when you got it, something.
But,
We used to swim in Lake Superior for a month, in the summertime, actually. I remember going in that lake when it was so cold, you know, it was cold.
Yeah.
But, you know, we used to do it. I tried to go in once a long time after that, and there was no way in heck I would do it on that lake. What are you looking for?
oh, I don't know, I was looking for the one we were talking about, the other one. The people out there, do you remember Mineral Center? And, well, Mineral Center before we came along was really a big, area to live. I mean, they had a lot of houses, they had, actually stores up there, I think, besides, didn't they?
Hotel, two-story hotel.
Hotel, it had actually little casino in it or a slot machine that you could play or something or other. But when Mom worked for Grand Portage, they had a gas station on the left-hand side of the road as you go north up to Canadian border. Yeah, you come from Reservation because there wasn't a road going to Portage at that time down.
Separate.
Separate, yeah. You'd go to the old border, and they had a gas station there that Mom ran for them. And where's the other picture that I had here? This one.
Yeah.
This is kind of, if you can see, this is us kids in front of the old store part of it. And this is out in front of the pumps,
Hand pump,
the hand pump, yeah.
like this.
You had
And
the
our
hand
mother ran that for quite a few years, and then later they built another one across the road.
With electric pumps,
Huh?
with electric pumps.
With electric pumps,
Generator.
yeah. And I don't know if any of you remember, but there was a really sharp curve there where you'd come from Reservation, right where the station was on one side and then on the other side. And people didn't believe it when they were told to slow down, and there was a lot of cars that went in the ditch. And even the mailman went in the ditch a couple times.
I do remember one time when somebody coming from the Canadian direction realized that he couldn't make the corner, so he went straight ahead. But there was when you come off the road, you used to go on the other road. There was a big bump there. That car did a couple flips and upside down, I think is how it landed. And he got scratched when he got out of the car. That was the
Yeah,
only thing.
it was pretty
Him and his
smashed.
wife.
I remember that.
Yeah.
But that was when Oscar Sundquist had the record thing, and where the other guy lives there now that does
Holborn.
Holborn,
Holborn,
Nanovision,
Holborn, yeah. Used to be Shooties and whatever. But anyhow, Mom had a phone there because of the station on the new station side. I don't know about the old station side. Did they have a phone there? I don't remember that anyhow. But she would call Oscar, and he'd come get the car out of the ditch and give her $2 for calling him.
Nice little side
Yeah.
income there.
Did Ed ever come up and pull anybody out of the beach? You think?
Your dad?
he did, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
God, yeah.
oh, your dad did too, okay.
Did it Far away, picked up the
Yeah.
four-wheel drive thing.
But there was a lot of cars that went in the ditch.
I mean, it was a 90. It wasn't a looping turn big one. It
It
was
was a short 90.
it was here and it was
Oh my goodness.
So that
So
was kind of scary.
did you guys, your mom helped manage the gas station, right?
She ran it herself. She
Or
was the
ran it
only one.
herself?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was
So,
long up to Grand Portage.
and then you guys would go with her then and
Mhm.
hang out up there then all day while she was running the store?
Some of us, I think.
Some of us, and we had babysitters at times. Older girls were babysat us up at the old one.
Bernice Lagarde,
Bernice Lagarde, yeah.
yeah.
So we had babysitters too sometimes. Couldn't always, especially when they got over and she was over in the one across the road, we were still living in the old one. And so we needed, 5 kids running around. They needed some help.
Some
None of us
containment.
were ever rammy.
I'm sure not. Now, Jimmy, how old were you when Lyle was born?
How old was I?
Yeah.
14?
When were you born?
You're 7 years older than me, and Lyle's 7 years younger than me, so you were 14,
14.
right around in there,
Okay.
so.
I
He was-
remember carrying Maroon a lot.
Dropping me a time or two, I remember that.
I don't remember.
Upside down, yeah, I know. All about you.
So, usually kids started working. I mean, you were probably always working, helping out at the store and stuff growing up. But what was like your first job that you had?
For me?
Yeah.
Fishing, you helped out fishing.
Well, when I come back from the service, I went, I after I graduated high school, like I went to Callaway where my dad was from originally. Stayed with my grandpa down there, and I was supposed to go play ball. So I got my thumb slammed in the door in a trunk. So I couldn't play ball. So Mom says, "Well, come home. They'll give you a job up there." So I worked for the Forest Service one summer,
Okay.
and then we just after that, I started logging. I logged with my brother-in-law Pete there, and
Who
with my
wasn't,
dad, and
He
who else
wasn't-
was with us?
Leonard's McDougal.
Was he?
Tommy Olson.
Tommy Olson.
Sometimes.
Was it with my dad when we were doing it?
Yeah, we used your dad's cat. We did down by High Falls. High Falls is now we log that stuff.
Oh, no,
for
that's
down
not
P.
that. That's
Johnson.
before that. Before we went to service, we were logging.
That was for Ray Montgomery when I left by.
Oh, is that what it was?
Tommy Olson, you and I,
Oh, yeah.
and it was peeling the spruce, and it was just a dirty, rotten, sticky job.
so they decided to go in the service together under the buddy
Someone-
system.
Oh, okay.
5 weeks, that's the buddy plan.
After that, they switch up.
Don't see each other for 4 years after that, yeah.
Yeah.
So, that's the plan anyhow, but,
So to back up a second, for you for school, or for all of you, I'm not really sure. Did you go to Grand Portage then until
8th grade,
8th
We
grade?
went to the, you
We
two?
went to 8th grade.
they changed us in the middle of the 8th grade. We moved to Graham Ray in the middle of the 8th grade, and then it was only 6th grade at Portage after that. So,
I went to 6th grade.
I went to 6th grade there.
Okay. And then when you came into school, I'm terrible with dates. So when you came into town to go to school, were you at where the Harbor View is now, or
Where the high school is
High
now?
school.
where the high school is now?
It was new then,
Okay.
wasn't it, Jimmy?
Huh?
Was it new then?
It was
It was
pretty,
new then.
It was
The year we
probably
went,
new, yeah.
That was the first year it was open when we went there.
Was it?
53.
It could have been, yeah.
53.
I didn't know that it used to be the airport right there.
Yeah, it was.
up by the new school.
Where the football field is,
Yeah,
was the airport.
it was the airport.
Oh, I didn't know that either.
Yeah, I did.
Well, there you go.
Learned something.
I don't remember it either, but probably did at one time, but I don't
Well, I've
remember.
heard about it, not about it since then. I don't remember if I ever saw a plane take off.
They moved it up to Skyport when the school got operating. Sure.
Jimmy used to play football a couple of years in Graham Ray, did you?
Yeah, couple.
And since I didn't have a late bus, he would stay in Graham Ray with some people during the week and then just come home
No,
on
we didn't
weekends,
do
didn't
that.
you?
They gave us, they had people that volunteered to drive us home.
Sure.
Is that what it was?
Yeah, they bring us back every night after practice. Someone would do
Oh.
it. Different people doing it.
I thought Mom said you
The
stayed.
early
just- there was-
carpooling.
There was two of us playing from Portage, so they give us a ride. I don't know who they found, but they get someone to take us home every night.
Well, Chuck Putter, I know, did a lot of that kind of stuff. We used to come and get us in Grand Portage to play baseball in the summertime and then bring us back home again.
You guys
Chuck
must have
Putter.
been quite the baseball family with all this recruiting and
That's all we did in the summertime.
Yeah, we
In
had
our yard, we had a
the
round
houses. Yeah.
circle,
yeah.
and we played ball. That's all we did.
One of my fondest memories is
Yeah.
falling off the rock. No, just
We had rocks for
Bucks for
bases.
pieces.
Ooh.
Yeah, you didn't slide much.
Yeah, no, you better be fast and just make it there. Mhm.
We used to love watching Lyle play because he was so much younger than us when he started playing with the Grand Portage team. He was the littlest guy on the team and he'd run and he'd hop up on the base. That was just cute.
I don't remember.
my first job was, I think I was 13 years old or something. Ed Ryden owed me money so that I could go with Larry Ryden to Valley Forge. Well, just
Loan.
loaned me money.
Sorry.
And
Okay.
so I could go to Valley Forge, Pennsylvania for the Boy Scout Jamboree.
Oh,
And so I started working for him when I got back and I think it was 50 cents an hour.
That
I
much.
think I worked there quite a while.
How come you got some?
Yeah, you worked there.
I wanted his money back.
With interest.
But the store at Ryden's, and Pete talked about it a bit yesterday, there was a candy counter and cigarettes behind. And the Canadians would come down, they had Baby Ruth, that was about a quarter of a pound, 25 cents for a big Baby Ruth like that, sold them by the
Carlos.
carload, yeah.
They used to buy a lot of candy, the Canadians did, and chips.
Maybe that was
think
my
they
first
still
job.
do.
Pete and I did that
I
too.
Yeah,
think you
worked
did
there,
work
you
there.
worked
at
there.
We worked
Rogers,
at,
Yeah,
At the border.
that was my first job too. I was
Candy
a
counter.
dishwasher and then became a waitress.
Mine too.
Yep, you worked at.
We worked at the,
Used to follow they had, you remember that rack that had all the lifesavers in the gum?
Yeah,
That little gum rack, well, they were a nickel at that time, so I had a little cigar box, when somebody would take one of them off, and I'd follow them all over the place to make sure I got the nickel. Even though there was another place they could check off. That was my first job. Stocking candy like crazy. So,
yeah.
oh, they took a bottle out of candy.
Yeah.
That place was always full.
And we liked it when Bob was working up there. You'd ride home with Uncle Elmer, huh? And he'd always bring us, because he'd always bring each of us kids some candy when he came home.
you go that one?
No, you would.
Pay for that one.
Speaking of our Uncle Elmer, this gentleman here, he used to work at the bar, as did my dad. And my Uncle Ray at one time or another up there, but he'd give me a ride back home at night after he'd had a few too many drinks. He was right over that wheel about 25 miles an hour.
And it was
Looking
a
through the
very
steering
curvy road. Oh, that was a curvy road too, huh?
We still were. Of the six of us were all still alive, which is, praise the Lord.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, who are we have a picture of all of you.
You want the recent one?
Yeah, we'll do
This is the most recent one of all of us, about 3 weeks ago.
Okay, and
We had a family picnic with just
can you
ourselves.
go point them out who
So-
everybody is?
Dickie is the other one.
Dickie lives in
Richard.
Virginia, Minnesota, Richard, yeah.
Yep. And then Jerry.
Jerry is,
Grand Portage.
lives in Grand Portage, he's
Lives right
right
next to
above
me.
me, yeah, he lives right
Okay.
next to Jimmy, he still fishes. He still fishes
Commercial
herring,
fisherman.
commercial
And
fisherman,
the rest of us are here.
yeah,
Yeah.
Jimmy lives in Grand Portage.
so, what else, guys?
Who does tell? So you all did fishing too?
I did some cleaning fish and stuff like that and taking the spawn out. My wife will tell you about the one time she got to go up and she was supposed to be doing the spawning or getting the spawn out of the fish. She was so interested. She was an X-ray tech at the time. She was so interested. She wasn't getting much spawn. She was more interested in looking at the inside of the fish.
Figuring out all the parts.
Gizzards.
Yeah. The anatomy. Yeah.
The year I got out of the service, I fished with my dad, my brother Dick, and Jerry. The four of us, we had 2 boats, 2 of us to go together. And herring fishing in the fall. That's what we did first, till January, I think, that year.
So
Then we
where
went
where would you sell the fish at that time?
There's a truck that would come from Severson's in Grand Ray, in Duluth.
Duluth.
From
A
Seavers?
truck, they'd come and pick them
What
up.
was the name of the truck driver?
Oh, there was a couple of them, Jerry Jacobson was one of them.
Jerry Jacobson. There was another one too. I think.
Bobby Leonard,
Bobby Leonard, I think. that was-
Brazil.
Anyway, so different drivers.
Pick up the fish.
And bring it down to Duluth.
Mhm.
It was different fishery back in those
Yeah.
days.
Dad used to fish lake trout and herring
Yeah,
and
and
everything,
whitefish.
yeah,
White fish in the fall.
different ones. And then he'd take people out that would come up from different places out fishing too. Dr. McDonald was one of them that he took out, I
Trolling?
remember at one time trolling just to
Used
try
to get a lot
to
of fish, a lot of big ones out there.
Yeah, there was a lot of big fish.
some,
And the
40
land fish
pounders.
took
There
over,
was a fish that big fish.
I don't know.
but they're back there again.
What happened to them.
They're coming back.
Yeah, they're kind of bad. A lot of herring out there now. Wow.
What the herring back in those days, what they did with the fish was they backsplit them and salted them, and they put them into a brine and 300 what were they, 300 pounds barrels,
Big barrels, yeah.
big barrels, called like that, big round. They backsplit them, get the roll out of it, and then put them into the brine, and then that's when Severson would come pick them up. We'd cap the I mean, they would come and pick up 30, 40 barrels, every other day. So that's how many fish they were catching back in those days.
That's a lot.
There was
And
a
how
lot
many
of
commercial fishermen were there back then?
A lot more than there are now.
All the
but-
way along the shore that was fishing.
Yeah.
It's probably the same one. He's got
Do you know,
big
back when
nose
we were
on.
kids, fish are like this. Now they're like this.
Yeah.
The herring.
Bigger
They're bigger
herring
herring nowadays.
I wonder why that is.
Well, maybe when
Better
they're,
feed.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm sure we got better pictures of this too. We can't find it. Here's one of like a bigger, whoops,
Got your
Lake.
It's
fingers,
hard to
Chris.
tell. Yeah.
yeah, you can't see it very well on there, fish. It's another one, kind of the same fish, I think. But, I just wanted to talk about this
Yeah,
little
we-
rock we used to have between Mom and Dad's and Uncle Elmer, and
Lift it up.
You might have to back it up a little bit.
You gotta lift it up 2 toes. There you go.
it looks like a big rock, doesn't it? Well, it was a big, huge rock to us. There's how many of us on there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of us on there. We used to play on that rock a lot. And if you go there and look at that rock now, it looks so little.
You should reenact the picture and get all
There we
interview
go,
on the
see how
rock
many can
again.
get on it, huh?
Yeah.
Is everybody still alive? That's still on that one? Yeah.
We got
Jerry, Dickie, me, Bob, Mickey, Jimmy, and Jess. Jimmy James.
I can just imagine that rock being like a ship and a house and a mountain and, home base.
Lots of blue jeans we wore out in that rock.
we used to play King of the Hill on it too.
Yeah.
Ah.
It's amazing that we all survived it.
But there was lots of things that were amazing that we survived.
Yeah, they didn't protect us back in those days like they do these days.
Well, Dickie and Larry, and Dickie and Jimmy both, didn't they get it? There was a truck or something?
Oh, that was probably Lucky Star Landing.
Yeah, that's when I was little.
Yeah.
One of them truck drivers bringing them catch the fish stuff. Almost packed over me.
Ran over him a little
Lucky my
bit.
mother looked out at the right time to come out screaming and he stopped. I can remember my arm was all full of
What gravel?
gravel marks, and the thing when they took me up to the doctor. I must have had it behind me like this. It was on my arm. He was kind of had me pinched, so it was just braided. Go up my back.
Oh.
My mother screamed and he stopped. Then he was just scared to move it because he was scared to get in the wrong gear.
Yeah.
Was that a Lucky Star?
Yeah.
Mhm.
No, it was right over when we moved to another house, right next to Roy Obrig's,
But still down in
right
that
by the marina.
area.
It was another 300 feet, 400 feet from where Lucky Star was.
Well, let's hear about more close calls.
Bob,
Me? Oh,
Shot
not
himself.
Bob shot
shot
himself
himself one time,
and
yeah.
blamed his cousin. Jimmy James did it. Jimmy did it.
He had a 410.
They were
It
hunting.
went in here and came out down here on my leg. And if it had been shot with a 410, there wouldn't have been any leg left on it.
Ooh.
Just an accident. I mean, we were driving. We used to drive for my uncle and my dad deers, trying to get them both make noise while you go through the woods. I don't think they ever shot a deer in all the time we did that.
Bob shot himself.
Bob shot himself
He
and
was
had to-
dropping, he was gonna go down the hill, so he put his gun down, dropped it down to the bottom of the hill and climbed down. Gun went off. That's why he was leaning over and they shot him up here and come out down here. His leg was up in the air.
Yeah.
22, yeah, single shot.
It was just
Good
22.
thing it wasn't out.
Only missed the artery about that.
Oh my goodness.
Another thing we kind of would like to talk about maybe is the bell.
Oh, sure. You go ahead.
We, Dad had a bell hooked up from our house after the high line came through, power line came through somewhere or other there.
1,300 feet up.
1,300 feet up, where it would ring in the house. They had it up, and if a bear or a moose or a deer went by, it would ring the bell.
Mostly just the moose.
Mostly,
The other
yeah,
ones
what they
are
were
too
trying
small.
for. I think
It was higher. Well, he was using copper fishing line. What they used to troll with
Oh.
out there. So they went up through the woods and he shot more than one. Yeah, tripwire. He shot more than one out there.
Oh, yeah.
One
6 o'clock in the morning, I remember you guys being out there in your underwear.
That's probably the one I remember because, Dad, if the bell rang, Dad goes outside and he shoots and the thing goes down right now. And, Dad came back and said, yeah, I think I got him in the head. And got him in the heart, I'm sorry. And we're going, Dickie and I go back up there with the gun and he's sitting there kind of wiggling around. What he did is he broke both front legs.
Oh, no.
Good shot.
So you had to finish them off then?
Yeah, Richard did.
But we pretty much lived on moose meat, deer meat, fish. Although Dad didn't service his fish very often because that was money.
Yeah.
That was for sale, So Fridays, when we couldn't eat meat on Friday, of course, we always had fish usually or something like that.
Whitefish.
Livers.
Yeah,
Mom used to cook them a lot, yeah.
Love the heck out of
I
those.
gotta get some comments.
Whitefish livers.
Mm.
Yeah, good.
We used to do all our own butchering, for the moose and the whatever. Sometimes they take the moose up and put it in Ed's cooler up there, wouldn't they? Just to keep it for, and go up there and butcher it. But a lot of times we butchered the deer and stuff at home, I remember, and sitting at the kitchen table, wrapping and freezing and
This
whatever.
is good to know. I got a cow I gotta butcher this fall.
Can you help?
Well, I'll be calling you.
50%.
We used to.
Okay.
We used to cut the boys, Jimmy and I and Dickie probably more than anybody, used to always cut all the wood after we got old enough to keep the fires going in the house.
Split the firewood.
Yeah, the firewood, then we sawed down either with a handsaw or after a while with a chainsaw and then split it. One day I was outside splitting wood and there was some people in the house and I came in with the axe with the handle broken off the axe. They said, how'd you do that? I said, it wasn't easy.
We, I remember the lights, we had, gas lights.
Yeah.
They were mounted on a wall and they had the mantles on. If you broke the mantle, you had to go to Portage Store and get another mantle or something or other, but, we lived with those, and then finally they put a light plant in
Down
by the lake, down by
fish
the
house.
fish house
Yeah.
down there. Put a light plant in, so then we had almost like run electric lights, huh? Electricity, yeah. So, and like I said, we had an old house all the time.
What year did they move into that house?
They moved, I was a year old, so
47?
65,
Um,
50, 40, no, 47. I'm thinking of when we got married.
This guy came to town at approximately the same time, right?
Yeah,
This is when we moved down there.
you came when you were 7 and I was a year old, yeah.
47, yeah.
So that was
That's when
about
they
the
built
year
it.
that
That's
we,
when Thorson built that road in 1947.
47.
So they built the house in probably the next year or two. 48.
The house was-
and never had the running water till after I left, so.
The house was, didn't that come from Mineral Center?
Middle Center, yeah.
They tore it down up at Mineral Center and brought it down and
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, they built a couple.
I knew it
Your
was
dad's and Elmer's
used.
both, I
Well,
think,
we
didn't
do,
they?
yeah.
Yeah, they built, tore them down up there and built them down on the lake.
Oh,
The Mineral Center was a big place and didn't I just read someplace that maybe it was on, anyway, that said that, it was bought from the Indians in the first place. And after, I don't know why, but after so many years, some organization bought it back and gave it back to the Indians. If I'm
okay.
not mistaken, that was the land up there.
They,
BLM, Bureau of Land
Land
Management.
Yeah.
and they lotted it out to people to, homestead and make gardens and, but you couldn't make much gardens up there,
Not one away.
just kind of
It's
died,
poor farming countries.
yeah. So,
Anyway,
Did I ask you about church last time around? What was there for churches up in Grand Portage when you were growing up, if there were any?
oh yeah,
The Catholic church
Yeah,
that's there now,
over
that's,
100 years
that's
old.
over 100 years old.
Isn't it the oldest one in Minnesota?
Still being used.
So being used,
Yeah.
it's built in 1858,
65.
55.
Well, they got 65, they got on that sign up there, I don't know.
1865.
I'm just taking them for their
Yeah, what
word.
this says right there, 58, I thought it was. but it could be
Was
65.
baptized there, made first communion, confirmation, got married there.
Still going.
Well,
And then they built another church down by the lake. That was probably in the
That was a,
sixties or something.
Was
that a
Baptist?
It
Was it
was a Baptist church,
Baptist
Mount Rose
church?
Baptist Church.
yeah,
It's probably in the sixties.
But I mean, all the kids used to go to school back when we were in grade school up there. It was, you know,
Church
all the
was full, yeah.
shearers,
Yeah, it was church here.
yeah, church. There's hardly any kids that go anymore. It's just totally different. It's all us old people, huh?
Yeah. So it was, I mean, that was a lot of the community, you know,
Yeah.
time was, and when you got to visit and see other people. I mean, you guys were always in a business of some sort, so you saw people all the time, but for a lot of other people not in customer service type things, it would be when you would gather and have meals and
We didn't get to go a lot when we were kids anywhere. I mean, we stayed down there for, like Mom said, 2 months at a time before she'd get to go to a store or something or other, living a mile from to get up on the road, the main road. And then I remember I had fell down and cut my arm when Mom and Dad were gone. One day, these guys were up in the upstairs seaming nets. We were playing tag or something or other, and I fell off in a broken bottle and cut my arm, and they had me in a basin, you know, with the blood just pouring out, trying to clean it and stuff like that. And don't tell Mom. Well, guess what? The first thing I did when Mom came home was went and told Mom. She wanted to take me in for stitches, but Dad said no, she don't need no stitches. You know, I mean, I still got a scar that long on there. But the boys wanted to go into town because there was a movie show there, and they figured they'd get to go to the movie if we.
if you had to go in for stitches.
Yeah.
Did you go up to Canada much?
Not then.
do some swimming occasionally up at,
Middle Falls,
Little Falls on the other side of the
the
Canadian
old border.
border.
Yeah,
But, no, not much into Canada.
didn't go to Port Arthur, Fort William or anything a whole lot that I remember.
We had an interesting thing one night, in the fall, late fall. Who was it? I think I was one of the ones who went down and found this guy in our fish house.
Fish house.
Down by the lake, and his motor quit when he's up in Thunder Bay, and he was on that lake all night. And when he got to
Big
land, he stopped there, and of course we helped him out and called his family, and he got home all right. But it's amazing that he survived that.
Yeah.
I don't think we called his family. We got a hold of somebody that could because we didn't have phones back then.
Oh, that's true.
I
We
was
did
gonna
have
say,
phones,
did you-
didn't
I
we?
don't know.
I don't know.
We had phones when I was the last few years of
Yeah, that
'cause
was
I remember
pretty close to
calling-
that time.
Party Line or something or other, but yeah, his wife was pregnant, I think, at the time and worried about him, you know, what had happened to him. So, but, what else, guys?
And we can talk about the time Pete and Phyllis and me and my wife Lily went out canoeing. We left Half Point.
That point, yeah.
Beautiful
Half Point,
weather.
they just calm. There's still some night ice on the thing, so we went out behind Susie Island over to Clark's Bay.
Clark's Bay, yeah.
Clark's Bay, and we stayed there overnight. Next morning, the storm was up out there.
Oh, no.
And so
I was about 5 months pregnant with Debbie at the time,
We were in canoes.
and we were in canoes.
Yeah.
And we had to get back because Bob and Mill were gonna stand up for Corey Ryden, who was gonna be baptized that Sunday.
So anyway, so instead of trying to go around the point, which is pretty rough, we decided to take the canoe through the woods and put it in, well, no,
Behind the
Fizzy
Susie.
Bay?
well, no, it was just Clark's Bay. We just
Oh,
went
I
right
see.
from Clark's Bay out to the lake,
So we were
got in,
behind
got
the
some water.
Susies.
we're not tent, we weren't tent here.
Okay.
We got some water in the boat, but we paddled until we got at the canoes until we got over to behind the Susies and we pulled them up on shore and emptied them out and then started again. But
Yeah.
when we come to go into Washwanigan Bay, you know how tall Pete is. You couldn't see him between swells. We were behind them a ways and we
Of
couldn't.
course, I was screaming to go in. I wanted to go to shore and they said, we can't, we'll crash.
We made it.
But
But
our dad
Uh-huh.
was up at the rock cut with his binoculars, looking. He didn't sleep all night because he heard that wind come up.
Oh,
These
no.
dang kids.
You had some nice things to say to us.
We
he
did make
pretty
it
much
up.
stood up here, shook his finger at us and said, don't you ever do that again, and we never did.
It is incredible how the wind can just come up on Lake Superior and you don't even realize till you're in the middle of it just how big those swells are and,
Mhm.
you know.
Couple times getting talking about the size of the lake. Dickie and I went out with Dad one time to go pull some nets. We were pretty young at the time, but I would guess 8, 10 years, 12 years, 11 years old. I don't remember, but anyway. And all of a sudden, a big storm did come up, and in those days, he had the outboard motor was one that you had to pour gas in the top of the motor in order to keep it going. So when it came up, he found a net out there, one of the buoys. And Dickie and I grabbed a hold of the buoy. Well, Dickie probably did most of the work. And Dad poured gas into the thing, and we made it back. It was pretty rough out there.
Jim used to get sick. He used to be
I said to
seasick
fish all the time.
all the time. He'd go out and work with Dad, but he would get seasick. And to this day, we go on a cruise, Jimmy gets seasick.
That would be a bummer of a deal for being a fisherman's son.
You weren't much good either after you got sick.
Oh, yeah, no.
Yeah.
Well, I think unless you have something you want to add.
We've had some good years of like family things. This is a family thing where they had Spry. We used to have a Spry reunion every year and go to Callaway, or we go to where else? Detroit
International Falls.
Detroit Lakes, International Falls. They come here, I don't know how many times,
Beach Lake.
where a lot of the cousins at this point, there were still some of them mums and dads and stuff like that living that would get together. So that's always been kind of a fun part. This year we didn't get to do it because of and every year it's getting to be less and less people because some of them are dying and some of them
Old people.
just us old people left. But the young kids don't seem to wanna do it. We did get Mike to go with us last year and stuff like that. But that's always been a very, very fun. That's on the Spry side. So we probably have how many relatives on the Spry side? I bet you close to 400.
Holy buckets. How many, your dad, how many brothers and sisters
There was
did he have?
12 of them.
No.
12 of
kids.
them, yeah, and a couple of them died young, whatever. And then their families had big families. His sister had 13 kids, I think. Dad had, well, that would have been 7 of us. Uncle Bud and Aunt Diz had 11. You know, and then all those people have been having kids along the way.
How many did Jerry Spry have?
Jerry Spry had 7, I think.
7 kids?
Yeah, 7.
Big families.
And well,
Not our Jerry, another.
I was gonna ask, was that your
Jerry
Jerry?
hasn't had any. There's a couple of Jerry's, 3 Jerry Sprys, I think, out there. And Uncle Elmer's family, most of his kids are still here in Grand Portage. Mickey and Dwayne and Larry John and Shirley. One of his daughters just died last year. And I think Debbie has been off and on too. And they had like 7 kids, didn't they? Uncle Elmer?
Yeah. Oh, no, I don't
With
remember.
Jess.
With Jess.
3 girls and 3 boys, and then Jess, yeah. Jess was, Aunt Marge had him before she married Uncle Elmer. His
Leland Christie
Crunchy James.
No, I lost it again.
Crunchy James,
Sorry.
don't worry about it. But anyhow, I guess that's about all. It's been fun. Being Spry's, we're all pretty close together yet, you know, it really makes it nice because
Not done yet.
we're not done yet. No. Lyle, what are you gonna say at the end?
Can I say it now?
No, not yet.
No.
We'll come back to it. Just hold on a second. I'll do my little thing and then you can say it.
Always fun to say that.
Thanks for joining us this evening. It's been wonderful. The funny thing about this interview is that I asked Phyllis if I could do an interview, and I did not know that she had brothers. And I know some of her brothers quite well, but I did not know that they were all related to each other. So it was very fun when she was like, oh, my brother Bob can be there. And, oh, no, Lyle said he's too busy. He can't be there. I'm like, really? Lyle's your brother too? So very fun.
We have an adopted brother. No.
Yeah.
Dicky's always said he's been adopted.
Remember to become a member in September with the Cook County Historical Society. We still have a lot of great prizes to give out to our drawing winners for everyone who signs up. If you are a lifetime member and you got in when it was $500 for a lifetime member, it is now $1,000. Maybe you want to consider re-upping and giving us some more money. We would love it. Thank you so much. Thank you to the Sprys and everyone. Have a good night. And here's one last thing from Lyle. Hold on a second.
That's a wrap.
You're now famous, Lyle.
Yeah, there you go.
Wasn't that bad, was it?